So my name is Juan Francisco. I go by Francisco, and I have been with CircleCI since January 13th last year. I started as a consultant for the AI team while we were still doing experiments, and then I started as a full-time employee on March 24th.
Awesome. I'm Matt Kohler. I'm Regional Vice President of Sales for the Americas. So I lead the net new sales team and the growth sales teams for the Americas. I'm actually a boomerang. So I joined in 2017 initially. Was here for about a year and a half and then left for 2 years and then returned in 2020, February. So, good experience coming both times.
Awesome. I'm Jacqueline Garcia. I go by Jackie. And I actually started at Circle as an intern, a college intern, while I was still a student at UC Berkeley. I believe that was around May 2017. And I was offered a full-time position later that January of 2018. And then I started full-time August 2018. So this August will be my 8th year here at CircleCI. And I've been a front-end engineer since then, now a senior engineer. And I've worked across multiple front-end teams here at Circle.
Fantastic. Okay. Well, I have the first question, and this one is for Jackie. You started here as an intern. What version of you started at CircleCI versus now?
Oh, wow. Well, I started here as an intern, so I believe I was on my last year as a college student. And I think the version of me that CircleCI got was not really understanding fully what it meant to be in tech. I knew what it meant to be a computer science student, but I didn't really fully understand really what goes into being in the tech space, what it really fully means to be a software engineer. So I was just super curious and super excited to learn and work with different people and just understand what it meant to be a software engineer. And quite different now. I have the next question. So this one's for you. So you left and chose to come back. What pulled you back personally and professionally?
Yeah, I get that question from every candidate I interview. It's a good question. I think there's two parts to that, right? There's the product in the space that we're in. Obviously, being on the sales side, I think it's important to have a product that you can put your reputation behind, right? That you're confident in. And I think that CircleCI has just stayed really, really focused in being best in class in a space that's really, really important. There's a huge market opportunity. And our leadership, our product teams have stayed really just relentlessly focused. That makes it easy for me to go and reach out to my network, reach out to customers and put my name and my brand behind that. And be confident when I'm selling, right? The other part of that, I think, is the people. That's really what's led to me staying for as long as I have as well, right? Whether it's my own experiences or observing from others, I think sometimes you see organizations where, they're trying to go really fast and really hard, and they're throwing people out of the boat to try to go faster. As a consequence, they're just spinning in place, right? I've also seen organizations where no one's rowing the boat, and you're in sales trying to get a response to a customer, you're trying to, earn your commission checks, whatever it might be. It's a tough environment. And CircleCI is such a privilege in people we work with that it feels like every single person knows what the goal is. They're all rowing that boat. And we're all winning and succeeding together, right? And I think that's the thing that led me to come back and what's led me to stay for as long as I have. Cool. All right, I have the next question. As a contractor, what made CircleCI feel different from other contracts you had taken?
That's an interesting question because I had never contracted before.
Ooh.
That was my first contract job. And I was very nervous because I didn't know if I wanted to go in the consultancy route or not, but I had this opportunity and then I met the team. At the time we were working on AI experiments, namely our prompt workbench, which was a separate tool that we built at the time. And I think within the first week, I fell in love with the team. Just the amount of knowledge and energy. I've worked in previous companies where the engineering team is almost, trying to do the least amount of work possible for some reason. I'm not going to name names, but this team wanted to do more, and they wanted more from the design perspective, they wanted more animations, they wanted more quality of user experience, where I always had felt in the past, oh, no, I don't even want to show that because I don't want to intimidate the engineer and thinking, no, the scope is blowing out of proportion. The team was hungry for this stuff and was very passionate in the conversations that we were having as we were all trying to figure out what is it that we're doing with AI. And how does this fit in our company? All the way to today, the conversations that often go over time on the 15-minute calls that turn into an hour, it's fine. Everybody has great ideas, great thoughts, and I'm lucky to just sit into those conversations and listen and learn and just, I feel very fortunate.
Cool. That's awesome.
All right, for you, Jackie, what skill did you not expect to develop here?
That is a really hard question. There's a lot of things I think that go into being a software engineer. I think when I first was a computer science student and then thinking about what it means to be a software engineer, I felt like it was very much like knowing the tech, like understanding how to solve problems, but more in the individual like solutions, like very solution focused. But I think as I grew as a developer, as I grew as a software engineer, there's a huge aspect of leadership that goes into problem solving. It's not just about the code, it's really outside of the code. So I would say a skill that I wasn't envisioning, the intern Jackie was not envisioning, was how complex and colorful it is to problem solve. It is really about like understanding where we're at, understanding where we're going. It's very visionary. It's within the code, but it's beyond the code. So there's no way I could fully understand that now. I mean, as a student, you're like learning data structures. You're like very in the code and like something goes in, something comes out. But obviously, once you're actually solving real problems, it's a lot more than that. It's collaborative. It's bumping into really tough problems that is not just easily solvable with code. It's solvable through conversation, solvable through investigating things. So problem solving is a huge skill that has many, many facets to it. So I would say that's something I wasn't expecting to learn, but I'm glad that I've had experience so many different ways to tackle things. Yeah.
Awesome.
The next question, what did you learn elsewhere that changed how you see CircleCI?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think first and foremost, I'm so grateful for the experience I've had. I've worked in a variety of industries. I've worked in different countries. And I think that, the experiences with those different organizations helped me really identify things at CircleCI that I knew were important to me when selecting my next company, right? Product market fit, selling a technical product that solves a real problem. What good looks like, both in terms of product and people, right, and the personnel that you work with. All of that just kind of reminded me in terms of being intentional about the organization I want to be a part of, where I spend that time, and allowed me to really make sure that CircleCI was and still is the right place for me. So,
amazing.
Sweet. Cool. Was there a moment that you realized you wanted to join the team full time?
I think the first week. I came in with a limited contract, looking at just helping fill a vacuum in the design team that at that time was, not the size that we are right now. And but over time, the way that we just developed this relationship between engineering, research, leadership, and design, it made it clear that I wanted to continue to explore where AI was headed within this market. I had explored AI in the market analytics before, and when it was still very incipient. So seeing both the expansion of our use of AI for our product and for ourselves, and at the same time see the market grow at a baffling pace, was I think something that I didn't want to let go of until I really saw what was coming out of it, and I'm still there. Like, I'm still We've been working on Chunk for the last, better part from last year and this year, less, yeah. And I think that has continued to broad every time. There's like, we need to put more in this. We need to add more. We can do more. Let's build more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Well, thank you. What's something you've accomplished here that makes you genuinely proud?
That's a really good question. I think there's plenty of code that I've written that I'm like, oh, that was awesome, or like different projects that I was part of. I've probably been part of like at least six to eight different front end teams since I've been here, probably more. And I feel like every time that I was part of those teams, I felt genuinely proud of the work that we did and the vision that we were following, and how collaborative it was between designers, product managers, EMs, and all the software engineers. But I would definitely say the thing that I'm the most proud of was starting a channel called Let's Talk Engineering. Some of you guys may know about it, some of you guys may not. But I actually started it because of my mentor at the time. He was a senior staff engineer on my team. And he was like, and this is a reason why I feel like, many of us are asking ourselves, like, why I've been at Circle for so long. People like that. He was extremely encouraging and supportive in my career when I first started. So that was when I maybe had like a few months in the team. We had just moved into this new team. We were gonna, do a UI rewrite, and he loved discussion and talking with people, problem solving, sharing ideas. And I think we were running sessions between each other. I think it was just like he was just my mentor, and we were talking about different topics and recommending me books. And he was like, why don't you like start this and like invite other engineers? And I looked at him, I was like, what do you mean? Like, what am I going to ask these people? Like, I am just starting out. I don't know what I'm doing. But he was really encouraging. He was like, no, you just ask the questions and get their thoughts. And so I think that same year that I started maybe a few months after this channel called Let's Talk Engineering, and I really made it about bringing everyone from the company, not just engineers, but designers, managers, like people from sales that joined there, like just talk about all these different topics from like what makes you excited about the role that you do, what are some challenges that you face. It would even get really technical when we were looking at very specific technology and like kind of exploring it together, but it really varied across different disciplines. I know during the pandemic, it like came really helpful for everyone to having that community of like just managing stress, or like managing, how do you manage context switching? So like topics that you don't normally talk about, in your day to day. And I ran the Stock Engineering for 5 years. And it was just, I think it was biweekly, and sometimes it was like 5 engineers, sometimes it was like 12, 15 engineers, and people from management and people from design. And so it was just, I'm proud that I was able to build a community where people from different departments would join and kind of sit in a table. And it was very freestyle. My role as the host was really just to ask the questions and to guide the conversation and kind of allow people to feel like they can just take the conversation wherever they wanted. And people loved it. They felt like they enjoyed being part of that. Adding another meeting to your calendar can be fatiguing, but I think people genuinely enjoyed that environment and just having that space. So building community, bringing people together to have conversations, probably the most thing that I'm most proud of here at Circle. Yeah.
That's awesome.
We had this tagline, we are all engineers, or we're engineers. Yes. And it sounds like that is probably organically the epitome of that. Yeah. When did you realize you wanted to open this up beyond the engineers, and what were the first like teams that were like interested in joining, or disciplines, let's say, not teams necessarily?
Honestly, I kind of started like just inviting everyone. So like I was pretty vocal, like, hey, we have this topic, who's interested in this topic? And usually people would be like, oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I want to talk about that. And I would like go into the design channels and be like, hey, Let's Talk Engineering, we're going to be talking about this. And I think just the invitation alone, I felt like allowed people to kind of feel like, oh, like we can be part of this discussion. And I think the really what I was trying to drive at is we're all engineering. We might not be engineers, we might not be designers, we might not be in the code, but we all make it happen, and we all have a different role that we play in it. And I think being in a room together and talking about it and sharing your experience is valuable. And yeah, that was really the goal. It's just for people to feel like, oh, we're all part of this huge mission of, making the best product that we can make, and we all play a role in it. And it was really nice to have that. Yeah.
Awesome. It's awesome.
Last question for you. Is there a customer moment or win that you're particularly proud of? What made it meaningful?
Yeah, there's quite a few that come to mind, right? I think there's a couple parts to that, but it's the moments where you identify that problem, right? You work really closely with your partner to help them build the case to bring it on internally, and it comes on and it works, and they see their lives improve, but then they become someone who evangelizes that broader, right? I can recall specific memories of customers who, come by and see us at a booth, and they just hang out at the booth. And other customers are coming by like, oh, what is CircleCI? And someone who doesn't even work at our company, just organically, has just been hanging out. Come on, we have a relationship now. Like, we're friends that we built over that time working together. But then they just want to shout from their podium about how it's helped their organization, right? And that's so rewarding for me to showcase, like, okay, like, hey, this wasn't an easy process. We had to help you build out the business case and make sure we validated the hard aspects of that. But once we got to the other side, like, that person's such a strong champion, and they're leveraging it, to help others, right? I've seen them go from one organization to the next, and one of the first calls they make is bring on CircleCI, right? And that's kind of a proof point and reinstills that confidence in the product that we're selling and the problems that we solve. The other part that I would speak to, I've been fortunate to move into sales leadership. Another area that I've had just so much reward in my career is I've got 2 people on my sales leadership team who also started as ICs, individual contributors. And so seeing them develop in their roles, going up segment, and now be managers themselves and helping their teams, it's been amazing to see how CircleCI has afforded those opportunities to them, how it's invested in their personal growth, and how they're repeating that cycle for their own teams. It allows me to have so much confidence in how we communicate to customers, and helps their team be successful because they know what that takes. And so whenever we're hiring or we're looking for another candidate, like, those proof points about those people who've been here for a long time, there's people who know what it takes, and they're going to help you accomplish that. We've got that distributed all across the teams, and it's really rewarding to see their growth as well.
That's fantastic.
Paul, what is something you've built or contributed to that you're especially proud of?
Chunk. I've been part of the team that has built this. It's not been one person. It's not been 2. It's been a village. From the amazing work that the visual design team has done to bring this agent to life and give it character, the branding team that came up with the name, and the engineering team that has actually made it happen, and it has evolved from an era of experiments to something that we can ship and actually create an experience around, a tangible experience for our customers. I think I will continue to work on it until I will continue working on it, just because it's such a rewarding thing to see this idea become a need, become a tool, and just take a life of its own. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's an exciting time.
Yeah. Awesome. I have the last question for all of us, actually. For our final question, and this is for everybody, as I said, why CircleCI?
Why CircleCI? I think it stands true from when I started here as an intern. Like, why did I choose CircleCI as my internship experience? It just stood out, like, the people. I mean, we all mentioned that, and it's really true. I think the moment that I met the team, and I met who would be my mentor, and I met the manager of the team that I would be joining, they just seemed so excited, genuinely excited on the stuff that they were working on, genuinely excited to support me as an intern. And that energy was just like, okay, like, it just felt right. Like, I felt like I really want to be part of that team. And I mean, I've been here for almost 8 years, and I've always heard people say, like, or at least when I started, like, every 2 years, people are just like kind of moving to a different spot. And like, you don't see anybody working at a company for more than 2 years. And so, like, I remember thinking that, like, oh, what does that mean? Like, why do people leave like every 2 years? Like, what is this about? And genuinely felt like I always was excited to be in the teams that I was part of. I always felt supported. There was always people that I was genuinely excited to learn from too. Like you said, like I feel like the people who have been here a while, I think they're amazing too. Like I feel like they share their experience. They're willing to support. They're passionate. New people coming in are also passionate because everyone around them is passionate. So there's like this infectious energy that you just feel like it just feels right being part of whatever team you join. So I would say the people, the mentors, people's ideas and how willing they are to share them and how people own problems and own ideas. I would say it's a pretty collaborative company, very hands-on. People are always willing to work on things together, even if it's outside of their team. Like you see a lot of cross-team collaboration, which is an area that I'm really passionate about. I love cross-team collaboration. I love being part of those conversations. Yeah, I'd say it's the people.
Good answer. My perspective is, first and foremost, we solve a big, complex, hard problem with so much opportunity at it. And that's just growing more and more as we're seeing in the industry today with AI and the rate of change in code validation, right? So the opportunity of itself, the fact that we're the best at it, like I firmly believe that. I believe that every single day. And we have so many dimensional examples of that, instills that kind of confidence. And then the third element, you really touched on this, it's such a privilege to work with some of these minds and the people who are part of this, right? Like every single day I'm like, wow, just the mind share and the way that people are approaching this problem, supporting the customers, and they work so hard, but they're also so smart in how they approach that. It's so rewarding, and there's so much excitement as part of that. So those three things is what makes the magic formula in my mind.
For me, coming in as a consultant, I came in trusting Amitabh, who I had previously worked with and had thoroughly enjoyed working for him in the past. And coming into this team, I knew that he was building a team that I could also feel the same way that I had felt in the past working with him. And that just immediately took off with a life of its own after I actually joined the AI team. Because like I said before, I fell in love with the team and with the passion and with everything from the minute that we started working and addressing the problems that we had at the time with the experiments that we were having. I think the people to me is the most important thing for any company I've worked for. Is the most important thing. It's what really makes the company succeed. It's the people that are passionate about what they do, that are talented, and that are there's a certain amount of putting egos aside to just solve the problem at hand. We're in this together, not against each other. And I think that really resonates in the teams that I work with, and that this is the reason why CircleCI.
Cool.